today, doctor, I think Hiren Choda was saying that the signals are not very good, so he will not start his video.
So we have around 42 participants. It is 9:05. Should we start?
Yeah, but who are going to answer today?
We have Dr. Mihir and Dr. Samar.
Yeah, sir. Dr. Mihir here, sir. Can you hear my voice, sir?
Yes, we can hear you
Dr. Mihir
loud and clear. Yeah,
Narayan
and
Nalay and Dr. Samarth from Safdarjung, Delhi.
Good evening, sir.
yes. Good
Dr.
evening, Samar.
Samarth,
So, how is the Delhi, Samar?
Delhi is better now, sir, COVID wise.
Oh, good.
okay. So whenever you
I
want
think
to
we should
start,
start. Gita sir, can we start now? Should
Yes,
we?
sir.
I think 42 people are there. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Should I start, sir?
Yeah, please.
Hello. Yes, sir. My patient, 32-year-old lady.
First of all, one second. Mir and Samar. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Please don't answer as if you know the case or you know the diagnosis. We are telling you diagnosis in advance so that you can prepare for your study. But when you are listening to the case, okay, don't keep that diagnosis in your mind. Fine? Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
32-year-old patient, lady, a resident of Borivali, housewife, married since 10 years, came with chief complaints of history of right flank pain since 3 months, history of increased frequency of urine since 3 months, history patient has to rush to washroom whenever she gets a feeling to pass the urine since 3 months.
Okay, Mir. Now, just from the chief complaint, she is 32 years old, married since 10 years, and these are the three basic complaints. What are the differential diagnoses that come in your mind?
First of all, sir, urinary tract infection, lower urinary tract infection can be.
Again, listen. Patient has got a right-sided flank pain and lower urinary tract symptom.
Yes, sir. Along with that, lithuria
Okay.
or means stone colic with lower urinary tract infection.
Samar,
It could.
I will give you a hint. Can you tell me which are the single diagnoses which can give rise to both and combine and like coexisting?
So one is that the patient can have a ureteric calculus or a bladder calculus.
So where the ureteric calculus will give rise to both the symptoms.
So distal ureteric calculus might most likely cause these symptoms,
Or
but
psychoureteric.
Vasoureteric junction, number one.
yes,
So there are, first you tell me which are the single diagnoses causing both the problems. One is the uretrovesical junction calculus. Second,
it can be causes like overactive bladder. The patient, we do not know the surgical history yet. It can be overactive bladder. It can be related to urinary incontinence as well, symptoms like that.
Samarth, why will overactive bladder cause right flank pain?
Sir, actually, sir asked conditions in which solitary complaints might be there.
Yes.
No.
Not considering flank pain. That was the
No,
question.
no, no. Sir has said solitary diagnosis which can explain all these three symptoms.
Okay.
Exactly.
So it can be a one which I mentioned, a VUJ calculus. Second
Very
one
good.
could be a bladder mass. Uh,
As a same as the ureterovesical junction. Right.
yes, sir. Uh,
Yes, someone has mentioned about GUTB, GU cough.
Urinary tract infection associated with reflux, but the age is not.
Okay. So and what are the combinations? Yes, Samar. Let us go ahead fast.
the combinations can be patient can have a calculus in the bladder along with a PUJ, or right flank pain can be because of the cystic
Yeah.
disease of the kidney, some renal stone in the patient, or simultaneous stone disease in the upper tract and the lower tract. Patient can have some form of pyelonephritis, some infective etiology in that way.
Hmm.
These are few of the causes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So, Dr. Gite, you want to ask any question?
No, sir. It is very simple. Whenever the patient of any patient who comes to OPD with right flank pain and lower urinary tract symptoms, which is a storage prominent, that is frequency and urgency, usually we'll think about VUJ stone and malignancy. Someone told in this, usually bladder malignancy is associated with hematuria. Without hematuria, presentation is slightly rare. So it is a simple UTI, simple VUJ calculus. Down the line, I can consider genital tuberculosis. Sometimes it is possible to have a female patient. Interstitial cystitis can be one of the differential diagnoses down the line. So these are all things to be kept in mind. In spite of telling a rare things initially, just VUJ stone, simple UTI, interstitial cystitis, and GUTV. That's what I feel.
Right. Okay, me. Now let's go ahead. So now, what are the questions you want? Me, these are the chief complaints.
Urinary frequency, more elaboration of the frequency, like how many times in the night and daytime.
Okay.
Sir, can
Yes.
I interrupt?
Yeah. Samar, please tell. Go ahead.
Yeah, sir, considering the pain, I would like to know the intensity of the pain, the character or the nature of the pain, whether there is any radiation, any elevating factor associated with that.
Very good.
And considering the symptoms of frequency, I'd like to consider that how much is the frequency, how much is it bothersome to the patient, what was the onset of frequency, was the urination, micturition totally normal before 3 months, or she had similar complaints in the past as well. Is it associated with diurnal variations, or only during the daytime or nighttime the patient is having predominant increased frequency? Is it associated with any urgency incontinence or other forms of stress incontinence or other complaints? And how much it is bothersome to the patient?
Okay. Any other positive, negative history you want to ask?
So I'd like to ask about any past episodes of fever, any past episodes of medications or UTI or hospitalizations for the same, any hematuria or trauma the patient might be having, any history of catheterization or instrumentation in the past, or any surgeries.
Okay. Fine. Anything else from this history?
History of weight loss
Okay. With what? Weight loss and
with fever.
then he has asked. Then you want to ask about the history of weight loss. Why you want to ask about that? So what other cardinal symptoms will be there along with it?
Night sweats or other.
And when examiner is asking what else history you want to ask, so what is going in your mind is what are the differential diagnoses you kept in your mind at this situation particularly. So if it is one is a
One
and
of
as
my
per the diagnosis you have to ask the negative.
Yes, sir.
So you should not haphazardly tell one symptoms here, one symptoms there. So in one go, if you are thinking of tuberculosis, so what are the signs and symptoms of tuberculosis in the female? So it may be storage symptoms prominent, it may be osteotic hematuria, menstrual irregularity, infertility, nocturia, colic, then any past history, ये सब one go में बोलना है tuberculosis का पूरा picture, evening rise of fever, cup with expectoration, क्योंकि ये एग्जामिनर को पता चलना चाहिए कि तुम ये डिसीज के लिए ये चीज पूछ रहे हो.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Samar, what else? One you asked about GU-COX. What else? Always in the urinary system,
Sure.
which are the two important things we always ask? If it is
Second,
malignancy, you want to ask anything about that?
so I mentioned hematuria, or
Okay.
if there is any history of dysuria or lithuria in the past.
Okay.
Complain of constipation.
Hmm.
Why?
See, someone has asked where
Because-
hematuria and bony pain, and at the same time edema of the face or edema of the lower limb. As usual, we have to complete now our diagnosis, whether patient has got CKD or renal failure. So always complete your history by these two things. When you are suspecting either the renal
Sir,
problem,
if he is suspecting a tuberculosis, suppose,
Hmm.
then he has to ask the symptoms related to tuberculosis bladder,
Tuberculosis,
he has to
yes.
ask symptoms related to the genital tuberculosis, he has to ask symptoms related to the renal tuberculosis, he has to
Okay.
ask symptoms related to constitutional symptoms of the tuberculosis.
that you said very nicely in that one sentence. All these things they have to ask. So Samad, you please make that list, okay, and put it on a group. Whatever Dr. Venkat details. Okay, Prashant, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Patient was apparently all right when she developed pain in right flank, which is colic in nature, non-radiating, insidious in onset, mild to moderate in nature, intermittently, and increased over the period in intensity. There is no aggravating or relieving factor. Patient has taken medication for relieving the pain, but since some few months, it is not subsiding and not responding to the medication. Patient is also having history of increased frequency of urine, which is insidious in onset, gradually progressed over the period, which is associated with pain while passing the urine. Dysuria is same throughout the micturition. Patient has to pass 8 to 10 times a day, and she has to get up for urination at night for 3 to 4 times. Patient also give history of patient has to rush to washroom urgently whenever she get feeling to pass the urine, and this complaint she is having since 3 months, and she is not giving any history of incontinence whenever she get urged to pass the urine. In negative history, there is no history of hematuria, no history of fever, no history of pyuria, no history of acute retention of urine, no history of instrumentation, no history of lithuria, no history of weight loss, cough with hemoptysis, cough with expectoration. There is no history of incomplete micturition, precipitancy, or thin stream of urine. And there is no history of any pedal edema, sweating over the feet, and decreased urine output. Sorry.
Okay. Anything you want to ask me or Samar?
So just one thing I'd like to elaborate here is that if the pain was relieved after passing urine and the pain was increasing at the time of holding urine, that is
No, there is no aggravating relieving factor. That's right. Yes.
Okay, fine. Anything else you want to ask? Otherwise, we'll go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Go ahead.
In past history, patient having history of pulmonary tuberculosis 15 years back, and for that patient has taken treatment for 3 months, and then she has left the treatment. There is no history of diabetes mellitus, hypertension. There is no history of major surgery in past. Patient's appetite and bowel habits are normal. mixed diet, there is no history of any kind of addiction. Family history is not significant, there is no history of tuberculosis in family. Menstrual history, regular menses are regular and for 4 days in a month. Obstetric history, patient having 2 children with normal vaginal deliveries.
Yes. So Samar, now listening to this, now what is your differential diagnosis?
So my differential diagnosis would include a VUJ calculus.
Mhm.
GUTB could be one of my differential diagnosis. Interstitial cystitis bladder pain syndrome could be one of the differential diagnosis. These are the three which I would like to think of now.
Mir, you want to add anything to that?
No, sir.
Along
But
with that, can there be two pathology?
yes, sir.
So only this diagnosis, or you want to add something else with two pathologies?
Urinary tract infection with ureteric stone or can be along with chronic constipation or urinary tract infection along with
Pyelonephritis.
yes, sir. Pyelonephritis, ovarian cyst, right-sided, or hemorrhagic ovarian cyst, or appendicitis. It could be.
Pankaj,
See, you are
want
right,
to-
but I would rather stay on to urological diagnosis. So, like sir said, it can be two things. It can be ureteric stone, or it can be along with cystitis or pyelonephritis. It can also be a mass at the UVJ, but as Dr. Gita said, that it may not present with without hematuria. But sometimes you can still have a small mass which is causing a block at the UVJ and giving rise to hydronephrosis and pyelonephritis.
Yes.
If the patient is diabetic, sometimes you can have a sloughed papilla also causing this kind of symptoms of pyelonephritis with obstruction. Constipation and ovarian mass and all the other differential diagnoses are there, but you don't want to lead the examiner to that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then the least common down you will say tuberculosis. As you will progress, maybe the diagnosis will change. The order of your differential diagnosis may change accordingly.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now go ahead, listen to the case more.
Okay, now what else you want? Pankaj bhai, you want to add till now anything? Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, I have 2 questions here, sir.
Yeah, ask.
Can we ask for history of BCG vaccination here, or is least important because as she had already pulmonary TB 15 years back?
No. Here, before asking this, I will answer your question. You should know how the renal involvement, how the kidney is involved. If you know that, then there is no need to ask for BCG vaccination.
Okay, sir.
If suppose that in this patient had a pulmonary tuberculosis, I agreed.
Yes.
How much time is required in a patient who has a pulmonary tuberculosis to involve the to have a renal tuberculosis? So it is approximately 15 to 25 years.
Yes, sir.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
If in spite of having a pulmonary tuberculosis, reactivation of that pulmonary tuberculosis time required is again near about 4 to 8 hours.
Yes, sir.
So the renal involvement is either a late manifestation of a subclinical pulmonary tuberculosis, or as a part of the multi-organ infection, that is biliary tuberculosis, or rarely primarily that is BCG treatment for the CA bladder.
Yes.
So these are the ways to involve the kidney. And in urinary system, either it will start from up to down or down to up.
Yes.
So if epididymis is one of the good soil for tuberculosis, it will start from epididymis to up towards the bladder, prostate and bladder, or it will start from kidney to the down.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
Yes.
if patient is having a history of tuberculosis is one of the minor criteria for diagnosis of the genitourinary tuberculosis. till this time, it is not confirmed. We have to combine all the symptoms: history, clinical examination, radiology, histopathology, and major and minor correct, and then you have to decide.
And the one thing I want to know is that why you people have not asked about the treatment. Patient has taken only for 3 months. Why both of you have not inquired about this? Is it important? Samar,
Both points what Gaurangsha sir and Geetesh sir are saying are very important, because examiner has to know that you are thinking in the right direction. Suddenly, if you ask BCG, examiner gets irritated. At least you should know what is the pathophysiology and the life cycle of genitourinary tuberculosis.
Yes.
so Mihir, why you should ask the history ke why patient had stopped medicine in 3 months?
Only my simple question is, how many people in India doesn't have BCG vaccination in childhood? Because that is a national program.
That's true.
So if you ask the history, does he has a BCG vaccination, then how it is important in Indian scenario? Tuberculosis is very common. Everybody get BCG vaccine in the childhood, near about 100% as a national program. So why you are asking? How it matters?
Okay, sir.
Okay, so the question here you should ask is why patient has stopped treatment after 3 months. Whether it was because she was getting reaction, intolerance, or she had just left it. So this is very important because for further line of treatment it is required. Right. Okay. So shall we go ahead? So now what you want?
Sir, examination, general examination as well as systemic examination.
Okay. Prashant, go ahead. Samarth is muted.
No, sir.
Okay. Fine. Go ahead.
Prashant, you are muted. Prashant. Prashant, unmute your.
Yes.
Okay.
Patient is conscious, cooperative, averagely built, averagely nourished. Patient is febrile, pulse is 80 beats per minute. Respiratory rate is 18 per minute. BP taken in right arm supine position is 130 by 80 mm of Hg. There is no clubbing, cyanosis, icterus, lymphadenopathy or pallor. Genital examination normal. Pervaginal examination normal. Urethral meatrice normal.
So Samarth, in the general examination, what is the most important thing?
For this patient or?
Yeah, for this patient.
So one is lymph node examination we have to do. Second is we have to examine the renal angle and check for the palpability or the ballotability of the kidney if at all. Third, considering her as a female, we can do a bimanual examination using upper vaginal bimanual examination to rule out a tubo-ovarian mass which could be present. But considering the normal menstrual and gynecological history, it seems to be unlikely.
Fine. Okay. Go ahead, Prashant.
Yes, sir. In systemic examination, patient examine in supine and sitting position and lying down position. On per abdominal examination, on inspection, shape of abdomen is normal. There is no scar sinuses. On palpation, abdomen is soft. There is no any palpable mass in abdomen. Kidneys are non-bilatable. Respiratory system examination, air entry is bilateral equal. Central nervous system and CVS examination is normal. Hello.
Yeah. Yes, Samarth or Mihir. Now tell us, what is your, again, differential diagnosis you want to change or you want to keep the same and go ahead?
I would like to keep the same because examination was non-contributory as such. I would like to keep the same differential diagnosis for now. I would like to investigate the patient further.
Very good. So what are the investigations you want?
So first thing I'd like to ask from the patient is a 3-day bladder diary. That is one. Second, I would like to ask for a urine routine examination and ultrasound KOB with post-weight residual urine.
Anything else?
During the differential diagnosis of DUTB, I can also ask for a urine for AFB stain for 3 to 5 days.
Okay. Mihir, you want to add anything? You don't want any blood investigation?
CBC with ESR.
CBC, ESR, nothing else? In your routine examination? You don't want creatinine?
No, sir. After looking at the routine and other ultrasound reports, if further require or any further investigation required, like CECT, depending upon the ultrasound report, I would like to do kidney function test also thereafter.
So initially you'd want to do only urine routine, CBC and ESR and ultrasonography, nothing else.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Gite, what is your view?
Sir, considering the symptoms, baseline investigation is CBC, urine routine, serum creatinine,
Right.
one ESR, and one ultrasound.
So I think creatinine should always be included because we are,
Kidney function, I told, no, sir. Kidney function.
Yeah,
I
that's
told.
what I'm saying. They are not including that. Okay, go ahead, Prashant.
Yes, sir. In investigation, blood investigation, CBC, HB suggestive of 10.2 gram%, TLC count is 7,800. Serum creatinine is 1.2 gram%. ESR is 106. Urine routine suggestive of acidic urine. Then pus cells are more than 200. Red blood cells 4 to 5. And hello.
Yeah.
And sir, urine culture, there is no growth seen.
Fine. And ultrasonography?
Yes, sir. UHG KUB suggestive of right kidney is moderate to moderately hydronephrosis with hydroureter. No fat endings are seen, and lower part of ureter cannot be seen. Left kidney and ureters are normal. Bladder wall is thickened with 6 mm wall thickening. With pre-void of 270 and post-void is nil.
Unfortunately, they have lost the film, so we could not produce it. But this is a finding.
So
Yes.
are you interested in asking something more in urine routine?
I'd like to know the pH of the urine. It was just mentioned acidic. That is one. We have a single report.
Because he told culture is sterile.
Sir. The pus cells have been mentioned as more than 200, and there is proteinuria as well in this patient.
Leukocyte esterase and nitrite.
Are you interested in seeing the pus cells?
Yes, sir. It is mentioned in the report, sir.
Okay. Are you interested in seeing the proteins in the urine?
Yes, sir.
Why?
So we have to classify or identify the cause of proteinuria. I would like to repeat the urine examination once, and if it is still present, if it is still persistent, I would like to get it quantified further. It is also one of the markers which can suggest that the patient might be having uremia. So we have to look for that.
Okay.
Fine. Okay, so now, Mihir, what
Yes.
next?
Considering her ultrasound report suggestive of right-sided moderate hydronephrosis and creatinine also borderline, means it's in the normal range, but it's on a higher side. Considering his her urine.
Mihir, I want to ask you only one simple question. When you ask for ultrasonography, keeping three things in your mind, one is a urinary tract infection with pyelonephritis, ureterovesical calculus, some growth if possible, and geocox. So what are the things you will get in each condition? Start one after another, quickly. So we want to just know.
Sorry, sir. Stone.
Yeah, you tell me.
There is no perinephric fat standing, so ultrasound report wise doesn't look like changes of pyelonephritis. There is no stone VUJ or at the pelvic junction.
No. I'm asking you a simple question.
Yes, sir.
These four diagnoses in your mind,
Yes, sir.
what you are expecting before when you ask for sonography,
Yes.
what are the things you are expecting? Tell us. If it is a ureterovesical junction calculus, what you will see?
Can I answer?
Yeah, please answer.
So in case of VUJ calculus, we'll see hydronephrosis up to the stone. We'll find out a hyperechoic shadow with posterior acoustic shadowing appearing in the distal part of the ureter. This is for VUJ calculus. Second diagnosis which I was considering was UTI, which could be pyelonephritis. So in that case, the kidney will be appearing bulky with raised echogenicity. The corticomedullary differentiation of that kidney might be poor. That is, in cases of bladder calculus, we'll be able to see a hyperechoic lesion in the bladder with post-acoustic shadowing. May be associated with internal echos if there is infection present in the bladder with echoed bladder possibly.
Fine. Then the third was if there is a mass at the UV junction.
In case of mass at the UV junction, sir, we need to see what kind of the mass it is. If it usually is a papillary lesion, we need to see the base of the tumor. If there is any increased vascularity, and if it is blocking the vesicular junction, if we can identify ureteric jets or not besides it, or any associated hydronephrosis which is seen.
And if it is geocox, then GUPB?
So geocox can present in multiple ways. It can have a ill-formed appearance of the kidney, can have irregular or asymmetric hydronephrosis, or can have hydrochalicosis with chaliectasis. Patient can have thinning or parenchyma at some places, can have the appearance of cortical granulomas because of caseation. The cavity, the pus cavities can be seen in the parenchyma. Patient can have a small-sized renal pelvis with or without associated hydroureter, and patient can have collection or hypoechoic areas in the perinephric region or echogenic content within the pelvic calcium system.
Some calcification?
Yes, sir, calcifications can be seen, sir.
Then if you come down, what else?
So there can be irregular hydroureter of that side dilatation can be seen. The patient can have a thick-walled bladder, a reduced capacity, or a reduced pre-void. This can be some of the features, sir.
Tanvi, I think Dr. Mulaukar has joined. Can you? I'm trying to unmute him, but I'm not able to unmute him.
Yes, sir. I'll tell the host to do it.
Okay.
Just give me some time.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So these are the things you get in sonography. So now what else? Now this is the finding. What you want? Yes, Samat. What else now?
Yes, sir. One thing I'd like to characterize the proteinuria again by repeating the ultrasound. I'd like to ask specifically for the pH of the patient. There are two more things which I'd like to ask from the patient for now. One is a frequency voiding chart for 3 days and urine for AFB sample.
Okay, fine. So which are the different tests you would like to do for tuberculosis?
So for diagnosing tuberculosis, I'd like to go for a urine analysis in this patient, which can be the form of ZN stain or AFB cultures with solid or liquid medias. There can be radiometric or non-radiometric medias available. That is one. Second thing for diagnosis, I can go for a nucleic acid amplification tests which are available. We can diagnose it that way. These are two things for this patient which I can consider for diagnosing.
So which sample you like to send for urine?
The morning sample, early morning sample with overnight collection, minimum for 3 days and ideally for 5 days. The sample should be sent and we need to check for AFB presence.
Why you want to take it only in the morning?
So there are two reasons. One is that the shedding of the tubercle bacilli are intermittent. So after overnight collection, we get a more dense collection of the AFB bacilli, and we get a larger volume of urine for analysis in this way.
So how many bacteria are required
Uh,
for different tests?
for different tests,
Yeah, you said no, there are different tests available.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
The 5,000 bacteria Acinetobacter bacilli are required per ml for analysis
Yeah.
and microscope. That is, the others I'm not very sure, sir. If the
Yes.
bacilli load is low, we can. It is the nucleic acid amplification test is better as compared to cultures uh, for diagnosing. But I'm not very sure of the exact amounts.
And what is the cost, for all these cases? And how many days you take? Earlier we used to do culture, or we used to do all, how many days for diagnosis for acid-fast bacilli?
Yes, sir. AFB culture in solid media, which is usually done in Lowenstein-Jensen media, which is the egg-based media, takes 6 to 8 weeks. This is reduced by 1 week in cases of liquid media, which like middle broth 7H9 broth. This is further reduced by Bactec media, which is a radiometric media, to around 1 to 2 weeks. And if we use a MGIT, which is a mycobacterial growth indicator tube for diagnosing it, the duration for diagnosis is further reduced to around 10 days. While in cases of nucleic acid amplification tests, the duration of return of the report is usually 2 to 6 hours.
And Gen Expert?
Gene Expert is 2 hours. Sir. I think CBNAT usually takes
Which one is the
1 to
costliest?
2 days. Sorry, sir?
Which one is the costliest amongst all?
I'm not very sure.
Gene Expert.
Mihir,
Gene Expert, sir.
Gene Expert. It costs almost, I think, 2,000 to 2,500. But it has got some advantage. Can you elaborate what is an advantage?
So the advantage
along with
basically is that it gives the antibiotic resistance sensitivity as well, along with the diagnosis. So we can in the form of rifampicin sensitivity, indeterminate or rifampicin resistance. So this is the added advantage that we get to decide whether or not to continue with category 1 ATT.
Okay, fine. So now, depending on this, what are the investigations you want to go ahead?
So I'd like to order a urine for AFB culture.
CX,
And
sir.
repeat urine routine microscopy.
Okay,
Chest
fine.
X-ray.
Chest X-ray. What
Yes,
else?
chest X-ray.
HIV. Serological
Fine.
markers, HIV and HBsAg also.
Okay. So now this patient has got the hydronephrosis on the right side, and patient has got the urinary complaints on ultrasonography. So anything else you want to know? Yes, we understand it will come 6 to 8 weeks, na? Culture.
Yes, sir. So in the meantime, I can order a CT urography for the patient.
Mir, you are agreeing with that, or you want something else?
Yes, sir, I'm agreeing. CT, CECT, abdomen and pelvis with delayed images with excretory phase.
Okay. Prashant, can you
Yes.
just show it?
Yes, right.
Prashant, before you proceed, let me ask one question. Why not IVU?
Yes.
So CT can give extra information compared to IVU. IVU can definitely give us the early changes much better, like urothelial thickening. But CT will be able to better tell us any lesions within the renal parenchyma or in the perinephric space, any associated lesions around the ureter as well. We can also know if there is any concomitant involvement of the spine, or if there is any associated psoas abscess in the patient, though it is much less likely in this patient. We can also get to know better about the presence of any cortical granuloma or such lesions within the renal parenchyma.
Good.
Very good. So tell us, what are the things
And
you'll
other
see?
genital organ involvement, like fallopian tube or any.
Yeah. So associated pathology along with that, other tissue. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So just tell us what earlier. Nowadays we are not doing IVP. But what are the things you'll see? On plain X-ray, what you will see? You'll see some calcification. Can you tell us what are the types of calcification you'll see?
Yes, sir. So initially, in the initial phases, when there is presence of cortical granuloma, the associated calcifications could appear in the form of punctate calcifications.
Very good.
Once the caseation happens and coalescence of these granulomas happen, the appearance can change to a globular calcification. There can be associated papillary necrosis or phlegmon with irregular triangle
Before
shape.
that will be just a curvilinear, no? Then it will be
Yes, sir.
round shape,
Sir.
taking the all the margins of the casated cavity. Then
So there can be associated papillary necrosis with a triangle or a ring-shaped calcifications. There can be associated irregular calcific foci within the pelvic-ileal system. And in the late phases, that is in the end stage of the disease, it can present in the form of lobar calcification. That is, the calcification takes the outline of the lobes of the kidney and usually represents a non-functioning kidney in this situation.
So what is that called if the full kidney is
Putty
calcified?
kidney or cement kidney, sir.
So now if you see the calcification in the kidney, what are the differential diagnoses in that region?
So it can be calcifications associated with a cyst or a cyst wall calcification. It can be septal calcifications in that case also. It can be
Pyelonephritis, like xanthogranulomatous pyelonephritis.
It can be nephrocalcinosis as well.
Nephrocalcinosis, very good. And the last, very rarely, is a hydrated cyst.
Sure.
Calcified. Where else you see the calcification?
So in the ureter, calcifications can be seen occasionally, but very rarely, not occasionally, sir. Very rarely we can identify.
If you see in the ureter, what are the differential diagnoses?
So differential diagnosis can include schistosomiasis in that case.
So what is the difference between schistosomiasis and calcification of tuberculosis?
So GU-COX usually involves the mucosal, that is the urothelial layer. So it will be luminal calcifications, and in case of
it is like an intraluminal, more or less.
It will be mural calcification in schistosomiasis.
So it will be mainly outside.
Yes.
And what about, can you see the calcification in bladder?
So very unlikely in GU-COX.
Very unlikely. So if you see the calcification in the bladder, what are the differential diagnoses?
So it can be present in schistosomiasis advanced stages, in which that bladder wall can be present as a calcification take the shape of a fetal head appearance on a X-ray.
And what else?
So
in our country, what is the commonest thing?
So bladder calculus, encrusted stent or an encrusted foreign body, any encrustation over a suture of a previous surgery which is appearing within the bladder or something like that. Or
calcification over bladder mass.
Bladder mass. See, in our country, we see that more often than this schistosomiasis. So where you'll see schistosomiasis?
The Egyptian countries usually.
Yes. Yes, Krunal has rightly said, TCC bladder, where there was a mass, many times you see the calcification over there. Fine. Very good. Okay. Prashant, show.
Yes, sir. This is plain film.
Mihir or somebody read it? Just describe it once quickly.
Yes, can you run from the first slide, please?
Yes.
This is okay. This is a non-contrast film of the abdomen and pelvis showing right-sided hydroureteronephrosis with a preserved parenchyma. and there seems to be some calcific foci in the pelvis. I'm not very sure. The contralateral kidney appears to be normal, and rest of the organs which are visualized in this scan appear to be normal. The hydronephrosis, the hydroureter extends up to the L4, L5 level probably, and there is irregular thickening of the bladder which is visualized, but I'm not very sure of the bladder filling, so I may not be able to comment much on that. These are the things which I can identify on the plain, on the non-contrast film, sir. In the delayed phase, there appears to be some narrowing in the infundibulum of the upper as well as middle callicial system, and the pelvis is not massively dilated. There is irregular dilatation of the ureter with focal areas of narrowing seen in mid and distal part of the ureter.
Which side are you talking about?
Right side.
So the contralateral side, that is the right side, is not showing any dye excretion in the delayed phase. There appears to be some enhancement of the parenchyma, but there is very thin parenchymal rim present, especially in the lower part. And the ureter also is dilated, at least in the upper part. The mid and the distal ureter cannot be identified in this film, sir.
Prashant, show more CT scan if we have.
This is delayed.
So can you tell me about the right side? What are the things you are seeing?
Sir, right side is showing moderate to gross hydroureteronephrosis. The hydroureter is extending up to the level of the pelvic brim possibly. I cannot identify it beyond. There is a urothelial thickening of the ureter especially, not much of the pelvis. In case of the kidney, the inferior callicial pole, there is very thin parenchymal rim which is present, and there is blunting of almost all the callices in the system, sir.
No, see properly. Properly see the right side.
There is no excretion of the dye or the contrast in that part.
Is it a normal hydronephrosis? Just see.
No, pelvis is not dilated. Just callicial blunting is there.
Is it a blunting or this thing is it regular or it is irregular? The parenchymal thickness is regular all around, or it is in some places and it is thicker on some pole?
It is irregular. The lower pole is showing much thinner parenchyma.
Then what else?
As I mentioned, all the calyx seem to be blunted, and they are dilated out of proportion as compared to the pelvis. The pelvis is not much dilated, and there is urothelial thickening of the ureter.
How many pictures seen in this?
In one of the
What about the ureter wall?
So ureteral wall thickening I mentioned, sir. It is
Okay,
irregular and
irregular and all.
and one of the section in the upper section, right upper section, showed lower pole some
Yes, some cavitation.
collection with hyperdense collection.
There is something like as a cavitation. See on the right hand side.
Yes, sir. That is
In the lower pole also, and just above that, can you see some not a calcification, but there is some dye. Yeah, just above. That's no. Just show your arrow. Yes. That also, and below that also. Can you see? Okay. So there is multiple like cavitation above that also.
yes.
Fine. Okay. So now next one. Just show the report.
Yes, sir. CT urography reveals gross hydronephrosis of right kidney and hydroureter secondary to intraureteric soft tissue mass involving the distal third segment as described, and it is suggestive of querinoplastic etiology.
Yeah. Fine. Samar,
Yes, sir.
now next, what you want to do?
So-
Jitesh sir, you want to comment on this CT scan? Tanvi, Pankaj Maheshwari also wants to talk something.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think Mulawkal has, he was made a co-host, but I think he has left. Otherwise, I would ask him.
No problem.
So,
When it joins
Samar,
back,
do you agree with the report given?
Yes, sir, that
Ah, exactly, yes.
they are mentioning.
Can you show the report again?
Yes, sir.
I thoroughly agree with Dr. Pankaj. Yes, Samar.
Sorry, sir, the audio got a bit disconnected.
Yeah,
Can
yeah.
we-
Yeah, beta.
Did you ask a question, sir? Can you repeat it?
Yeah, Doctor.
Do you agree with this report?
Dr. Maheshwari is asking, do you agree with this report? You have described this CT IVP, and now this is a report. You agree with this report?
No, sir. I could not identify any enhancing mass lesion seen in the ureter. As such, there was irregular thickening for sure in the upper ureter, entire upper ureter almost. Asymmetric thickening was there, but I could not.
CT एक बार लगा दो, sir.
हाँ, लगाओ, फिर से लगाओ CT.
Picture लगा दो, please.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Samad Mir.
Yes, sir. I think that some arrow is showing towards the mass lesion, sir, but it doesn't appear the mass lesion there.
There is a patchy contrast enhancement of right side kidney with selective focal azulized generalized hydronephrosis, hydroureter with periureteritis and thickening of ureteric wall right up to the mid-sacral region. And in lower part, there is no lumen seen in that ureter.
Yes, sir.
So that's why that probably he may have labeled it as a mass.
Yes, sir.
It may be a thickened, obliterated ureter secondary to the blood tuberculosis, or it may be a lower ureteric mass. On this picture only, it is not. No one can differentiate between the two things. That's what I feel.
Yeah. But I agree that we cannot see unless and until they have seen it in many films, because we have got a limited number of films. So in this, we cannot comment on a mass.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
No, sir, this is one of the finding in tuberculosis in the ureter, severe thickening of the ureteric wall and obliteration of the lumen, mimics like a mass. So it may be
Right.
mass or it may be a tuberculous process involving the ureter.
Fine.
So that is why Deucox is called as a great mimicker, and it can mimic many different types of diseases. But I would feel, taking into consideration the history, the findings on the opposite side, and the very fact that there is say a cavity formation in the lower pole,
Yeah.
you would still keep Deucox as a primary diagnosis.
Agreed, sir.
And even the ureter, you see the everything, the whole kidney. If it is only a mass in the ureter, you will not see such a picture. There will be a marked dilatation of the ureter and hydronephrosis, like a routine hydronephrosis.
The majority of the time, radiologist doesn't know the clinical picture,
Exactly.
and
Correct.
sometimes he may miss like that, like this.
Yes, yes. I agree.
And furthermore, Dr. Saab, these days we see Deucox so rarely that probably they don't think about Deucox.
Correct. Fine. So now what do you want to do next?
So there is just one question. Will there be any enhancement in a ureteric mass? By Dr. Rahul. Geetu sir or Maheshwari sir or anybody
So
else?
not necessarily. It is not necessary for ureteric mass, especially if we are talking of TCC to be enhancing.
Correct.
It will just look like a solid thickening inside the ureter.
Many times it appears like a filling defect, and that is why they say that wine glass appearance, like you can see that. If I get a film, I will show you. Actually, Dr. Hiren had showed me. So many times it is a video, means you can't see. It will be like a filling defect. It will not be enhancing. Fine. Okay, so next, what you want to do?
So considering the poor excretion in this kidney, I'd like to go for a diversion. It will also solve the purpose of salvaging the kidney as well as getting me a proper sample for diagnosing the GU cocciput also.
What
So you-
diversion you want to do and
Uh,
how and why?
So I would like to go for a percutaneous nephrostomy diversion in this case. It would be a more complete diversion. Moreover, since there is a doubt of some uh, irregular involvement of the palatial system, I can go for multiple PCN placement also. Second thing is that since the ureter is involved and thickened, there is very less chances that a DJ stent might go in. And if at all it goes in, there is a higher failure chance of drainage after a stent placement. So eventually I might need a PCN placement, and it would also give me a proper sample and help in salvaging the kidney in a better way.
So then, what are the chances of developing fistula?
So if the ATT treatment is completed in a proper way, there is a very less chance nowadays. It has been documented that very less
But-
chances that
But
the
is
patient develops.
is that treatment is started?
Sure.
Is that anti-TB treatment is started? It is proved.
No, sir.
Then
So I can keep the PCN in place and start ATT after diagnosing it, sir.
So now you want to first diagnose, start AKT, and then you want to put PCN, or you first want to put PCN, and
I
then
can
you
go for
want
a-
to.
So I can go for a per urethral collection of urine and get a ZN stain. That
Yeah,
will-
but it is not showing. We tried, we saw, but usually you don't see. It's
Yes,
not so. Means in the book it is mentioned, but how often you come across? Because patient has got nocturnal frequency, so overnight collection is not possible. She will collect like after 2 hours, and it's not possible every time.
I would like to go for cystoscopy and retrograde pyelography
Okay.
to better
To prove the diagnosis, you wanted to do PCN. So cystoscopy, RGP, and anything else you can do along with that.
if
Take the
RGP
catheter sample after barbotage, sir.
Also, you can put a ureteroscope and see that lesion. No? Whatever they
Yes,
are
sir.
having a doubt in CT scan,
Yes.
you can put ureteroscope. You can see the lesion. You can take biopsy. You can take barbotage from there.
yes.
Okay,
Fine.
so today you are smart in endourology. You can do these things. Earlier we were having problems. Ureteroscope so bigger. Now you have smaller ureteroscope. You have basket. You have snare. You have cup shape. You can take a bath.
Fine, Samad. So now what you want to do? Tell us. You said, Samad said that he will put a nephrostomy. He will then try to find out the diagnosis, and then he will start AKT. Correct? Samad, that is what you want to do?
Yes, sir.
when you will put PCN?
Samad,
So in this case, or you're asking about general indications, sir?
In this case, with what finding you want to place PCN initially without diagnosis?
if retrograde stenting is not possible, and since it is a obstructed system, I would like to put a PCN. Since it
So-
is not possible.
In this patient had a gross hydronephrosis. If the ultrasound is suggestive of pyonephrosis or if it is having any ruptured renal abscess or perirenal collections, in such situations we have to go for PCD/PCN. And patient should have, if patient is in clinical sepsis, if patient had a loin tenderness, leukocytosis, ऐसा कुछ है तो PCN करना है. Why you want to puncture the kidney unnecessary without having a diagnosis? And for diagnosis, you have to use that all the 2 major 1 minor criteria, and in that 2 major and 1 minor criteria, you have to go for again urine for TB PCR, urine for AB. Then if it is not in the natural urine, then you have to take urine from the upper tract by placing the ureteric catheter. Then in that, if it is a pyonephrosis, you have to send first for AB. Without diagnosis, only someone has asked in chat, can you start AKT without diagnosis? Prophylactic starting of AKT nowadays, people will do it. Major and minor criteria, 1 major and 2 minor criteria should be fulfilled to have a genitourinary tuberculosis diagnosis. And in major criteria, histopathology, granulomatous lesion, or AB positive in urine, or a positive PCR. These are the 3 major criteria, and minor criteria changes in the CT IUP oblique conventional IUP, hematuria, hematoma oblique hematuria and increased in ESR. And pulmonary tuberculosis active oblique old changes of pulmonary tuberculosis. So first is diagnosis.
So
Without
diagnosis. I want to ask you only one thing, that how many days it will take for a diagnosis?
So he himself is telling PCR it will take some 2 hours, for some tests it is 10 days.
Correct. And if you do cystoscopy and URS, then 2 to 3 days you will get a tissue biopsy also. So in this case, if you are suspecting malignancy, as it is given by CT.
And another is already someone, the radiologist has made confusion by giving a diagnosis of lower ureteric mass. Again, there is indication for doing a cystoscopy, cytology, normal cytology, oblique ureteric sampling cytology.
So you are not going to lose much time. Even if you do first try to diagnose what is the cause, whether it is a malignancy, whether it is a tuberculosis, come to diagnosis, start anti-cough, and then put a PCN. Are you going to lose much time?
No, sir.
Samar?
No, sir. So can I ask one doubt, sir? So how much time should we wait after starting ATT for putting PCN?
No, so let us go ahead with this. So yes, I agree with you. There is one treatment where you can do PCN under AKT treatment and the diagnosis. Yes, we agree.
No, sir. I mean to ask, after diagnosing, once we start ATT, if the report comes out positive, how much time should we wait ideally for putting PCN, sir, in this case?
At least the induction, first induction regime should be completed.
Okay.
Until and otherwise there is a dire emergency of placing the patient, you should not place the patient.
Okay. So, but excretion is not taking place
And
in this case.
what is the emergency? I already explained. Leukocytosis, signs of sepsis, perinephric abscess, perinephric collections, renal abscesses, multiple or large size, small, single.
Okay, sir.
If you want to really, now this kidney is like this, not from last, it is not a stone or something. It is definitely, it has taken many months or maybe years to become like this. Correct?
Yes.
So there are chances that you may not be able to save it even if you do PCN, if you want. Or you can help him by putting a double J stent also. I agree, it is not the best brand, but for the time being, so you can do, no? You can try to put a DJ stent.
Okay.
Okay, so now next what we want to do? It is showing that there is delayed function is also hampered. It is not showing a much function even after 45 minutes. And there is probably a mass in the lower ureter. So what you want to do now? Sambar, you are doing fine, huh? Don't worry.
Yes, sir. As Dr. Mihir mentioned, so we can go for a cystoscopy with
Okay.
RGP or a diagnostic ureteroscopy plus minus a biopsy, and we can take a sample for cytology as well as AFB for the same.
Okay. Unmute Mir को. Can we unmute करो Mir को?
Yes, sir. Now I think.
Done, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So someone has asked the metallic stent is preferred in this case. Metallic stent is very costly and you have to do it only when there is a functioning kidney.
Sir, placing the stent in this patient is slightly difficult.
Difficult.
So you have to prove your diagnosis by doing various tests oblique biopsy.
Yeah.
And after diagnosis, you can wait for 4 to 6 weeks with the course of antituberculous treatment. And after the 6-week antituberculous treatment, you can go ahead with either if it is responding disease stenting oblique PCM, if it is required.
Okay. Now earlier they used to say that you put a stent before starting AKT so that the stricture will not cause a total obstruction. Now what is the scenario now?
Sir, if the kidney is functioning, and if there is a luminal narrowing in the ureter which is put on CT urography, and if you want to start antituberculous treatment, any the antituberculous treatment, the principle is it will heal by fibrosis.
Correct.
So better to place pre-start AKT prophylactic stenting. Still, we also doing the same thing to
Correct.
avoid the complete obliteration of the lumen.
Yeah. So that is the reason that in this case, if possible, can we put the stent first?
The issue here
After
is
proving the diagnosis.
Issue here is radiologist has given a lower ureteric mass and the complete obliteration of the lower ureter. It may be due to tuberculosis. So placing the stent is difficult in this patient.
Difficult. Yes. But in case if we are able to put, then I think it is worth putting the stent, right? Okay. So next now Prashant, show what next. महेश्वरी जी आपको कुछ कमेंट करने का है उस पे?
नहीं sir, I also agree with you that I would put in either a stent or some diversion before I start AKT in this patient.
Okay. Fine. Okay. Prashant.
Yes, sir.
So cystoscopy में क्या दिखा था? Just show them.
Yes, sir.
We don't have many things because it is very old.
Sir, cystoscopy and right ureteral rhinoscopy was done. Suggestive of obliteration of lower ureter and query thickening, query growth from right lower ureter with tight narrowing. Hello.
We can.
Yeah, biopsy was taken from right lower ureter with semi-rigid cup forceps and sent for HP. And then bladder capacity was measured. It was 300 ml.
So you can have a vision of the scar tissue.
And ureteric orifices were normal.
Okay, sure.
And can you tell the biopsy report also?
It was suggestive of cageating granuloma composed of epithelioid histiocyte, lymphocytes, and Langerhans cells, multinucleated giant cells surrounded by lymphocytes and plasma cells. Suggestive of tuberculosis.
Okay.
Fine. Yes, Samarth, me now next what? As they said, it was very difficult to put the digest tank.
Was that, sir, guide wire went?
No, to only up to
Okay.
that mass only. We could not go beyond that. It was very difficult.
Okay.
And biopsy suggestive of tuberculosis.
Yes, sir. So it fulfills one major and two minor criteria in this case. That is a histopathological report we have. we have a raised ESR as well as imaging findings registry of GeoCox for this patient. So,
As patient,
so it is
as
clinically as well as microbiologically confirmed a case of extrapulmonary tuberculosis, GU tuberculosis in this case. We can start the patient on medical treatment. Fixed dose combination category 1 ATT should be started according to the weight of the patient.
Yeah, the weight was about
54 kg.
yeah, 54 kg.
want to do diversion first, because that kidney is obstructed, giving a symptom of flank pain, and to salvage that side of kidney as stent is not possible. So someone said previously that PCN could be the option, PCN with integrate stenting if it is possible, and then start ATT.
Why then start ATT? You can't start when you have got a diagnosis with you.
But the obliterating mass with starting of ATT also, it would not unobstruct the right side of the right side renal unit, and it will keep obstructing, and then ultimately we would compromise the right side of the kidney. So
No, first you start. Once you have diagnosis, why can't you start treatment?
yeah,
And
that means
PCN?
yes, simultaneously means ATT and starting of ATT and PCN with integrate stenting.
Yeah. Okay. So now in this case, I will tell you, this case came to us later on, but before that only, patient underwent right Boari flap, reconstruction of lower ureter. So, Samar, can you justify it?
No, sir. So any reconstructive procedures in a case of suspected or diagnosed case of GUTB should be done only after 4 to 6 weeks of giving ATT. So any reconstruction should be deferred till then. Ideally 8 weeks, but at least 4 to 6 weeks we should wait for completion of ATT, and then we can start or plan any reconstructive procedure.
Yeah, no, in this case, they started anti-cough treatment.
Sure.
They have already started it, and then later on, no diversion, nothing was done.
Sir,
They directly did the surgery.
Okay. No, sir, that is not justified. We have to prove that the patient has become culture negative first, and then we can plan for such an extensive surgery. That is one. And second thing is that I would also like to mention here that the patient was having non-excreting kidney as well as proteinuria.
So, what do you like to do?
So I'd like to divert the patient first, sir.
Only divert
DMSS scan or DTPS scan to document that unit is functioning before reconstruction.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Bye.
Yes, sir. So right split function is 28% and left side is 71%, and GFR is 72 ml per minute on right side, and on left side it is 180 ml.
So, this was the case. So, you will not like to do it, correct? So, in this case, DJ stenting was not possible.
Yes.
The surgeon, it notes were written that to avoid any cutaneous fistula in this case, they started anti-coag, waited, then they did a rhinogram, they found out the function is reasonably good, so they went with a Boari flap. So now in GU cogs, do you think that Boari flap should be done? And if you want to do, what are the indications? Or which are the cases you'll go ahead?
This case particularly looks like distal ureteric narrowing or distal ureteric mass. So Boari flap is at least in mid or proximal ureteric or long segment stricture if it is involving mid or proximal ureter. In this case, if possible, we could take a chance to give a psoas hinge and just ureteroneocystostomy or ureteric
GU, TB, which are the organs affected?
bladder.
Bladder is also affected.
So that
What is the
time
capacity of the bladder?
it was previously 300 ml. It showed in the cystoscopy time, but since it is Bovary flap was done after ATT of 4 to 6 weeks of ATT, that time again bladder capacity needs to be evaluated, and then it should be performed.
Okay, fine. Samarth, you want to say anything?
No, sir. I think that is fine.
Fine. So, see, we are not saying what is right and what is wrong in this case, but this was done. So the Bovary flap was done. The patient started getting pain. Patient had fever and distension of abdomen. So they did the investigation. Prashant, show the next investigation.
Yes, sir. Sir, after surgery, patient developed fever, pain in right lower abdomen with increased drain output at 7th after 7th post-operative day with rising trend of TLC count. And,
don't show.
yes.
So yes, Samarth, what is your diagnosis in this case? What do you think of?
So it seems to be most likely a case of urinary leak from the anastomotic side.
Okay.
Or yes, that is the possibility which.
So what do you like to do?
So I'd like to quantify or confirm it by getting a drain-fed creatinine. And so did we have a PCN in this case or?
No, PCN was not happen.
Okay, so I'd like to go for a drain-fed creatinine level and a serum creatinine level at the same time.
Yeah. What else? The drain was actually removed because it was not draining anything.
So then I'd like ultrasound.
CT urogram.
Okay, that time CT was not done. By do just show.
Yes, sir.
Prashant, what was done? What is this?
Like a IVP.
Percutaneous nephrogram.
What is this? What they have done? Chalo, फटाफट.
Can you show the first slide, sir, please? I cannot appreciate any PCN or a catheter in these films. So most likely it seems
cystoscopy RGP.
No, cystoscopy RGP. What else?
Be a cystogram, sir.
Cystogram they have done. And that is showing leakage. Can you see?
Yeah.
So now what? Next, what you'll do?
PCN, sir.
So I'll tell you what was done. That in this patient, they did the nephroureterectomy. They removed the kidney. Prashant, go ahead. Now what happened? Next.
Prashant, I muted you by mistake. Sorry.
Yes, it's okay. Yes, sir.
So Prashant, now tell us.
Yes, sir. Cystogram was done, and there was a contracted urinary bladder with pseudodiverticulum and mild reflux of contrast in right ureteric stump, and no extravasation is given, but there was a leak. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yes, it is seen. And then they went ahead with it.
Yes,
okay,
sir.
Samarth. Now, so this is a story. Now, how we are going to follow up this patient?
So I can place a PCN and keep the catheter in C2 for complete diversion.
Yes.
Wait for resolution of the symptoms, the reduction of the drain output.
Yes, you can also put a DJ stent also along with that. Nothing wrong in that.
Okay, so safe. Yes.
So you can do PCN and you can put a double J stent also. I said you are going to put the dye from below. So put a DJ stent also and put a PCN. Both the way it is going to help you. And then wait. You can wait for 3 months. If required, you can again change the DJ stent after removal of the nephrostomy and see. Many times it heals. If it heals, well and good. Otherwise, you can always do the nephroureterectomy. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, fine. So, but in this case, they have done this. Now, patient has GUTB. How you are going to follow?
This
Now,
patient,
patient has come to you after all this. We have not, like after the nephrectomy and everything, patient came to us.
Prashant, just tell them the history. What happened after that?
Sir, patient has recurrent history of this. Hello.
Yeah, tell
Yes,
us.
yes.
Hello. Patient has bothersome symptoms like frequency, urgency, and later she has developed
She used to
recurrent
develop recurrent urinary tract
duty.
infections
Yes, sir.
also, and right now she has got even the obstructive symptoms. She used to get like retention also, and she could not pass urine properly. So she was catheterized. So she came with all these symptoms, voiding as well as the storage, and then someone had catheterized. We tried to remove the catheter. Again, she used to get lots of fever and the left-sided flank pain. Okay, now what you'll do? Samar,
so like divert the patient, wait for these all symptoms to subside.
yeah, she is on catheter.
I'd like to divert using a PCN as well, sir.
Right side is removed now.
What may be the cause? What may be the cause? With catheter or symptomatic, without catheter symptomatic?
Whether this catheter is frequently blocking or which catheters is leaking by the side of the
It,
catheter.
it is a post-surgery case in which the bladder is used for to do a
Yes,
bore
sir.
flap. So chances of having a low
Yes.
capacity, high
Yes,
pressure
sir.
bladder.
So voiding dysfunction can be associated, sir, because of Bohr.
Agreed.
So sir is asking, so what is happening? So
Small
what happens to the
capacity
opposite
bladder.
kidney?
Small capacity bladder with high pressure
It will fire opposite kidney
yes,
also.
reflux.
Yes.
So what will you like to do now? How will you follow up this patient?
See,
So now,
Samar, here patient
We'll,
has come
we want
after
to
patient has come after nephrectomy, post Boari flap with original capacity also only 300 ml. Now patient has come to us with voiding and all these symptoms. And
again
he is a known case of COPD. So now,
this is after many years, after 3-4 years, 5 years, patient has come.
yeah,
would
now,
like to know the bladder capacity at present
Okay.
and would like to know the grade of the reflux to
Reflux,
do
but
both
you don't know anything about. Have you proved the reflux? You know it's a reflux. You don't want to do any investigation now.
MCU, sir, micturating cystourethropy along with the main bladder capacity.
Again, before doing a micturating cystogram, you should go ahead systematically. If patient had some, suppose UTI, urine shows for multiple pulses, how will you do MCOG?
Yes, sir.
Just think over the scenario given by the examiner. If they were telling the patient come after many years to you, then we have to re-investigate from start. What is the problem? Why he has come back?
You don't want to know
Then starting
routine.
should be from urine routine, serum creatinine, CBC, one sonography, bladder capacity. Then
Yeah.
if it is associated with bilateral hydronephrosis, mild, moderate, then antibiotic cover. If it is MCOG, if it is having multiple pulses, or first culture specific antibiotic, then go ahead as step by step bata do na.
Yes, sir. First, I would like to know whether she has taken full course of ATT this time,
Yes.
as we have started. So whether she had taken 6 months at least short course of ATT or not.
Complete treatment she has taken.
Okay,
So now
sir.
tell us what is the treatment in tuberculosis in renal? I mean GUTB.
Look, as far as treatment is concerned, there are 3 to 4 questions. One is what is meant by CAT1 regime. Another is what are the indication of long-term treatment,
Yes.
more than 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 18 months. Then is there any need of dose adjustment in case of the renal failure or early renal failure, the established renal failure. Then the patient with pregnancy and tuberculosis, transplant and tuberculosis. These are all the questions related to the drugs. You know all answers. You should know all the answers.
Should I answer or?
Yeah, Samat answer. Come on.
So category 1 ATT comes in a fixed dose combination of 4 drugs. for 2 months.
Hmm.
That is isoniazid, rifampicin, pyrazinamide, and ethambutol. The combination strength is 75 milligram, 150 milligram, 400 milligram, and 274 milligram. This is the fixed dose combination. For the intensive phase, we give it 2 tablets for a weight from 25 to 39, and 3, 4, and 5 tablets accordingly weight wise. Of these, we have 4 months of continuation phase after the intensive phase is completed, which constitutes 4 months of HRE, that is isoniazid, rifampicin, and ethambutol. So this is category 1. We usually go for a 6-month treatment, either primary case or a recurrence, or pulmonary or extrapulmonary. These are category 2 and 3 have now been removed. Second thing which was asked was dose increment. That is, if we should go for a 9-month dosage in cases of associated HIV, but that is still controversial, not advocated by WHO, but Indian guidelines do support that. In cases of concomitant pulmonary, cavitary, or active tuberculosis, or meningeal or neurological tuberculosis, or osteoarticular tuberculosis, in all those cases, we have to go for 9-month treatment.
Another indication is children with multiple site involvement and
Okay.
patient who is not tolerating the pyrazinamide,
Yes.
and another is slow responding patients.
Okay, sir. The third question which was asked was dose adjustment. So in renal impairment doses, the first 2 drugs, that is isoniazid and rifampicin, we do not have to change the dosage.
Ethambutol.
But pyrazinamide and ethambutol both are given in alternate day dosing. So 25 milligram per kg of pyrazinamide and 15 milligram per kg of ethambutol is given in alternate day dosing rather than daily dosing. This is renal impairment dose.
Just check it out. Pyrazinamide also not need any dose adjustment. That's what I feel.
Yes.
And dose adjustment is only for the streptomycin and ethambutol.
Ethambutol.
Okay.
Just check it out. I am not remembering, but I feel like
Which one you are saying?
pyrazinamide, no adjustment.
Yeah, they are saying same dose up to 15 ml GFR, less than 50 ml, then increase dose interval.
Okay. And I think HIV was asked. For HIV cases, I already mentioned we can go for a 9-month dosage, considering the immunosuppressed state of the patient.
AKT with pregnancy.
So with pregnancy,
Is it safe? Unsafe?
So with pregnancy, if the patient is having tuberculosis, the patient should be counseled to avoid pregnancy during that time. However, if the patient develops tuberculosis post-pregnancy, we can continue we have to start ATT, because the risk of the effects of tuberculosis are more. So the risk-benefit ratio of starting ATT is more. It is more beneficial to start ATT rather than wait for the risk of tuberculosis to set in. The role of pyrazinamide in pregnancy is very controversial.
All drugs can be used in pregnancy with caution, without streptomycin.
Yes, sir.
Without streptomycin.
Yes, sir. Even pyrazinamide is controversial, but WHO guidelines do support the use of pyrazinamide in that case.
So which are the conditions where you do long term?
So long term are conditions with concomitant active pulmonary tuberculosis, neurological tuberculosis in form of meningeal or spinal tuberculosis, osteoarticular tuberculosis. As sir mentioned, if the patient is not able to tolerate pyrazinamide, we have to continue the HRE regimen for up to 9 months. And in cases of children with disseminated or malignant tuberculosis.
So basically HIV, immunocompromised patient, transplant patient, and in cases where rifampicin and isoniazid can't be given. So these are the conditions mainly you will give a prolonged treatment. Correct?
Incidence of tuberculosis in a post-transplant case is near about 10% in India, and INS should be given for at least 9 months. That is 300 milligram daily for 9 months.
Okay.
Transplant patient, post-transplant.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead. So what else do you want? There is medicine, so we can go ahead for so many things, but I think that can take another lecture itself. So we will go ahead with this. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So what else now? Patient has got pain in the left side and patient has got storage as well as the symptoms.
Yes, sir. So like urine routine microscopy examination, a urine culture, KFT examination, and ultrasound KOB with the patient is still on catheter, right, sir? Or
Liver function test also.
Yeah. So Prashant, show ultrasonography.
Sir, actually, because of the rain, his Wi-Fi has gone.
Oh,
So he has logged out. He's trying to join back.
okay, okay.
So till then, if you know the report, can you just orally just
Yeah. Sure. So what happened that we did it and it showed the left-sided hydronephrosis. And as usual, the thickened bladder with the diverticuli, some diverticuli inside.
So was the
So the
ureter
small
also dilated?
capacity. Yeah, the full ureter and the kidney was dilated. So now what you will do?
And culture, sir, urine routine and culture was.
Yeah, it showed, see, different time it showed a different infection, but patient had a severe infection
Okay.
and patient was kept repeatedly. This is continuously going on. The patient is continuously on antibiotics. So every like 15 days, 20 days, she is fine. Then after 1 month, she comes with, we have removed the catheter. But when, as soon as we remove the catheter, patient develops this
Whether
problem.
further test for geotuberculosis like urine for AFB and culture or gene expert was advised?
No, now it is not done. Everything is otherwise negative.
So
See,
serum
we cannot
creatinine.
keep on doing this thing. Serum creatinine is, yes, serum
Only
creatinine is raised.
only issue here is to assess the bladder and to assess the upper tract
Yes.
in terms of anatomy and in terms of function.
Yes,
And the purpose, main aim is to avoid the renal deterioration on up left side. These three are the pillar in your management.
Yes.
sir has said very nicely. So what are the three important things? Samar, tell us.
So the anatomy and function of the bladder,
Yeah,
upper tracts,
yeah,
as well as the drainage of the upper tracts.
fine. So what are the investigations you like to do?
So the creatinine was elevated, right, sir?
Yeah, creatinine is elevated. What you are suspecting in this case now?
So since the patient is having catheter in C2 and despite of that the patient is having elevated creatinine,
Yeah.
so it seems to be somewhere that the patient is also having some component of infravesical obstruction as well. Somewhere the ureter or the bladder or the VUJ junction or some part of ureter could be blocked. So in this case, we'll have to, considering uremia and sepsis, both components, we'll have to go for diversion of the solitary system, sir.
Okay. So what we did, we just did a cystoscopy and we put the, because there was a hydronephrosis and hydroureter, we put the digestant. It stabilized the patient to some extent. Now, Dr. Gite has asked you very specific question. So for the anatomy and what is the disease, what are the different investigations you like to do in this patient? What you want to see in bladder, what you want to see in ureter?
So first, in upper tracts, I'd like to know the cause or the site or the length of the obstruction. So for that,
What you are suspecting? You are suspecting only stricture, you are suspecting something else also.
so it could be stricture,
Overall
it could be
renal
stone.
function also.
So it could be
Yeah.
stone as well. It could be a
Pardon?
stricture.
What else it can be? Only
It can be a
stricture?
stone. It can be stone. It can be stricture. It can be reflux.
Reflux, that is also, no? So for
But
reflux, what do you like to
so
do?
with catheter in C2 and hydronephrosis persisting for so long, with multiple episodes of infection, reflux seems to be very far-fetched.
But that might have taken place earlier, no? Before the catheterization.
Yes, sir.
Hydroureter and hydronephrosis, before she is catheterized, all these changes might have taken place.
Sir.
So to rule out that, what do you like to do?
Sir, for anatomical study, since currently the creatinine is elevated, we can go for a non-contrast CT scan, or
MRI.
we can go for a MR urography. Yes, sir.
Okay. And for the reflux?
For reflux, sir, we can go for reflux as well as the voiding dysfunction components. So we can go for, depending upon the volume of the bladder, we have to assess, sir, actually.
How will you diagnose reflux? Are you interested in assessing the bladder capacity?
Yes, sir. So that's what I said. We'll first have to know the bladder capacity, sir.
Because digestenting, very simple and straight question. The role of digestenting, the stricture should be early.
Yes, sir.
Early ureteric disease. There should not be an obliterative disease. Okay. If you want to place the disease stent, the stricture should be early, non-ablative, less than 2 centimeter, and that particular kidney unit should be functional.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, with adequate capacity bladder. If you place the disease stent and capacity is 50 ml, what will happen?
The symptoms will
Okay.
persist, sir.
Reflux.
So before placing the stent, that this patient had repeatedly having a catheterization, so there is no question of infravesical mechanical obstruction, may be functional, he or she may have.
Yes,
So
sir.
assessment of the bladder anatomy in terms of capacity and bladder function by doing a MCUG and SOS urodynamic study,
Yes, sir.
which will
Exactly.
give the answer. Does he or she has a high pressure bladder and low capacity bladder or normal capacity bladder? So 2 questions is solved, and the function of the kidney. So to know the function, if the creatinine is suppose 2 or 2.5, then how will you assess? EC scan can be done.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, so but again functional assessment हो गया. अभी what is the finding of all these reports? As per the finding, you have to go ahead. ये सब जब जो routinely तुम्हारे पास होता है ना, वही बताने का है. अलग कुछ पूछ नहीं रहे, कोई पूछेगा भी नहीं.
See, in this case, what you should have answered is what Dr. Gitesh said, that you can ask for urodynamic study and you can ask for the micturating cystogram, correct? And if you combine both, what you can do?
Video aerodynamics can be done.
Exactly. So if one test, we would have shown you so many things, right?
Yes.
So that is very important. If you say that many things, many questions are answered and you can come to some diagnosis. Now this is a CT scan we have done. Can you read it?
Yes, sir. So it seems to be a non-contrast CT scan of the abdomen showing solitary left kidney with gross hydronephrosis and hydroureter extending till the VUJ. There is a very thin parenchymal rim of the entire system which is remnant, and I cannot identify any luminal obstruction cause. However, the bladder capacity in this rim seems to be very small. It seems to be a thimble bladder. But
Yes.
in the post-operative.
I'll show more also slides.
Okay.
Here also you can see bladder capacity a little bit.
Now can you see?
Yes, sir.
Thickened small capacity bladder with hydronephrosis, as you rightly said.
This time the initially when she came, the creatinine was not much raised. So we took a chance and we did a CT IVP, as you can see. Can we show them?
Yeah, I'll show that one only. That is the best. This one.
No, this is plain. After that, one more is there.
1 minute, sir.
Yeah, yes. Just the same one. The lower, the last lower.
Sorry. This is with contrast. But this is transverse section.
And show them the MCU also.
Yeah.
See, with the contrast, can we show one? Yeah, this is okay.
Okay,
You
sir.
can see it. I'm sorry, actually the PPT cannot be shared because Prashant's Wi-Fi is gone.
So there is no reflux. Can you see?
Yes, sir.
Okay, can we show that IVP film?
Sir, this is all, sir.
No, you showed one, na? The
Sir,
third
is-
one. The third one. No, before that. Yes, that one. Show that. No, after that. There is IVP in that. The one after this. One after this.
I don't have that, sir. I'm
Yes, show that. Yes. The last one. The last one. Yeah.
This is sonography, sir.
No. There is IVP. You can see the very tortuous ureter in that.
sir, I will ask Prashant. Till then, you
Then
can
you
just
have showed us. Yeah, show that.
This is the torture ureter, sir.
No, one IV. Just after that.
Sir, I don't have. I will just get it.
Alright, just now I saw it. I just saw it. The,
Sir, give me 2 minutes now, please.
okay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this patient, we have done IVP initially when the creatinine was not much raised. There is no reflux. Okay.
Yes, sir.
It's a small capacity bladder. Patient is on continuous catheter. If you remove, patient develops fever. And that left side, there is a severe hydronephrosis, hydrureter, very much tortuous ureter. So now what you will do?
Sir,
And now by the time patient came to us, the creatinine had increased to 2.8.
so we need to divert the kidney. The best in this case again would be
So we did a degestenting. We did the degestenting with the catheterization because there was, see, you wanted to divert.
Yes, sir.
Correct?
Yes.
So which is the best way?
So external drainage would be better in this case, I feel.
And then what you'll do? With the degestant also the creatinine decrease.
Okay, sir.
There is no reflux, no?
Yes.
In this case, there is no reflux. So how much time you can put an external drainage?
Yes.
So in this case, what you want to do?
Exactly, I want to know about the creatinine and EGFR of the patient and the bladder capacity exit in the volume.
The bladder capacity is very low. It is hardly 150 cc. One maximum under anesthesia, it is 150 cc.
Okay, sir. And the EGFR, if it is more than 30 ml, then I would offer the patient, looking at her general condition, if she is fit, then I would offer her the bladder augmentation.
No,
Which,
here discussion is going about the diversion. So DJ oblique PCN. In this particular patient, this is a solitary functioning kidney with a
Yes,
low
sir.
capacity bladder.
Yes,
You
sir.
should tell external diversion
Yes, sir.
in this particular patient.
Yes, sir.
However, if the DJ stent has done with periotal catheter in situ and the maintaining the bladder spasm and removal of the catheter is not possible in such case. Another thing is, hello.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Another thing, so after doing the diversion, so if the bladder capacity is adequate, then we have to place the DJ, wait for 6 weeks, then reassess, is there any improvement or no improvement? If no improvement, then you have to place the patient
Yes, sir.
because that may
Yes,
not be training. If the hydronephrosis is not going down, selective collectors is still there. In such situation, we have to place the percutaneous nephrostomy in spite of having a DJ for 6 weeks if it is not responding. So this is as far as diversion is concerned. After diversion, is there any improvement radiologically and laboratorically? If there is improvement, then you have to think for the cause for the damage to the upper tract.
Yes.
So what is the cause for the damage to the upper tract? So the cause is low capacity bladder. Then what are the prerequisites for doing the augmentation? So you should know that. What are the prerequisites for doing the augmentation? Bolo. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Bladder capacity, if it is in this case scenario, it is very less, and the complaint is also very severe, like dysuria and.
Okay. You understand? Have you understand my question? My question is, what are the prerequisites for bladder augmentation? So first
Renal function.
prerequisite is indication for bladder augmentation. It should be a thimble bladder or very low capacity bladder.
Yes, sir.
Another prerequisite, there should not have active infection oblique, active bacterial oblique tuberculosis infection. Okay. Then for third prerequisite, what you are using for augmentation, that part should be normal. That part should be without having any disease like Crohn's disease, regional ileitis, again tuberculosis inside the intestine. He should not have any history of radiation. These all things to be ruled out.
Yes.
And creatinine should be less than 2.5 or 2. Some books give it 2, some books give it 2.5. So these are the prerequisites. You should understand the question, think for 5 seconds, and then answer.
Yes.
And sorry to interrupt. This is that IVP. वो जो sir tortuous बोल रहे थे just to show.
Yes.
Sir. Okay, sir.
Yeah.
I think
Sure.
Gaurav sir का भी.
See this IVP. There is a gross left hydronephrosis. देख लो, पढ़ो, कोई तो बता दो दोनों में से.
Samarth.
Yes, sir.
Anybody?
Yes, sir. So in continuation to the previously described films, the kidney seems to be enhancing. There is gross hydronephrosis as well as hydroureter. No intraluminal cause could be identified on the given films, and the
Tortuosity of
the ureter is extending up to the bladder. However, I'm not able to make out the bladder from the cuts given, sir, easily. Could be a
I agree, but I think, sir, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that is a correct.
Just see the last row.
Last.
यहाँ भी है, sir.
Yeah. Correct. You are showing exactly same place.
Yes.
Okay.
So it is very small and thickened and very quite.
Probably there is a Foley's catheter balloon inside.
Okay.
So it is so tortuous, I think. So my question is, yeah, now I think that actual discussion is over. The final word I just want from Dr. Gite or Dr. Maheshwari and Dr. Hiren, if they are there, that in this case now the creatinine is remaining 4.5 to 5, and this is a situation what we can offer her.
This was the report, by the way.
Sir, the question is whether we should do any augmentation and reimplantation of ureter in that part, or can we use this ureter to augment, or we can just do any other procedure?
Sir, here, if the patient is maintaining the creatinine between 4 to 5 and not going down in spite of diversion, then the option of doing augmentation at that particular point is out of question. तो वो नहीं कर सकते. तो option अपने पास ये है कि you have to continue with the diversion, which is also very difficult in terms of internal diversion. Then external diversion, that is also very difficult, maintaining the bag and tube for longer duration, having its own morbidity. That is also a difficult situation. What I particularly think, a practical solution for such type of patient, if a patient is maintaining a creatinine for 4 to 5 for longer time, small one ureterostomy also is not a bad option, provided that that particular ureter should not have active tuberculosis. Or another way, the patient, sir. Hello.
Someone, tell us.
So, Samar, tell
sir, आप continue करो.
Procedure.
Yes, sir.
Justification. Because I in such the scenario given to me by sir, I will go for one ureterostomy.
Okay, sir.
Because if I want to augment, creatinine is 4 to 5.
Yes, sir.
If I want to do a excision of bladder and ileal conduit, again creatinine is 4 to 5. Yes. If I want to continue internal diversion, maintaining internal diversion in small capacity bladder, very much difficult. If I want to go for external diversion, again maintaining a bag and tube for long duration, it is again difficult. So what I give in to my patient, a short, small, simple procedure under spinal anesthesia, ureterostomy.
Okay.
Solitary functioning kidney.
Fine.
Whatever solitary poor functioning kidney.
Correct. So now the last thing is we want to
And
ask these students.
and others
Sir,
opinion also is सर आपका भी ओपिनियन बोल दो, आपको जो भी लगता हो, मुझे जो लगता है बोल
No,
देंगे.
I'm also thinking the same thing now. In one, I was just contemplating whether this such a big dilated ureter, if we want to do, why not to use only that? That was I was just thinking, and do the augmentation with that ureter. But now you have given a good choice, ureterostomy, and we can just do ureterostomy and see whether she is really improving or not.
Only problem with doing a ureterostomy using the lower ureter or mid ureter, this patient had a gross dilatation with probably kinks and secondary obstructions. So you have to make that you should confirm before doing the ureterostomy that ureter should be straight and there should not be having any problem proximal obstruction in terms of over dilatation and sagging of ureter, kinkings, that should be ruled out.
So I was thinking that. Yeah.
Tell you, we would first complete the course of AKT and then we would do a ureterostomy. That is what you are saying?
Sir, here is this patient, same patient. That patient underwent right nephroureterotomy.
Yes. With you in this case.
And
yes.
after 5-6 years, this patient came back without having active tuberculosis, and this is the situation radiological.
Fair. One question I have: can we consider ureterostomy in this situation?
Pardon?
Sigmoidostomy.
Sir,
sigmoidostomy.
Ureterosigmoidostomy and ureterostomy. Morbidity with ureterosigmoidostomy, electrolyte imbalances, then then the requirement for doing ureterosigmoidostomy in terms of that sphincter should be functional. These are the prerequisite, and with having a complication, except compare morbidity and complication is more with ureterosigmoidostomy in case of ureterostomy. But that is one of the options used in the past by majority of the people in such situations.
Yes. So in this situation, ureterosigmoidostomy, I thought could be used. The lady who is around 37-38 years, unless she has a rectal incontinence, she should be able to manage quite well with ureterosigmoidostomy. And we have seen lots of patients very good in long term with ureterosigmoidostomy.
Another problem, this patient is maintaining creatinine up to 4 to 5 persistently. So doing a ureterosigmoidostomy with creatinine 4 to 5 is slightly not good option. That's what I think.
That's the point.
Chances of electrolyte imbalance will be very high in some cases. And yes, if the earlier, yes, it is possible. So let us ask the students now, last question, that if the Kimball bladder, what are the options?
In this case or with normal creatinine?
No, I'm just now you landed up with a Kimball. We want to complete this as much as possible. So now this case is over. Now suppose this patient has got a left-sided normal functioning kidney, but patient has got this small size bladder. So what you can offer her?
So we can offer orthotopic neobladder in this case. Considering the solitary kidney, we can also offer cutaneous diversion in the form of ileal conduit.
Okay. Mihir, you want to add anything?
Bladder augmentation by using ileocecal with ureteric reimplantation on The
Okay, so
idea.
what are the different augmentation? What are the different types of, what are the different organs you can use for augmentation?
Sigmoid cystos plasty or cecum or ileocecal. We can use stomach. We can use
Augmentations, we can use ileal
and
segment, colonic segment, stomach segment,
ileal.
or sigmoid segment. So we might not need ileocolonic segment because we are just augmenting the bladder. We do not need any valvular mechanism in this case. So either options, but considering the thimble bladder, sir, it is very difficult to augment it. So we might as well go for excision of the residual bladder and plan a orthotopic new bladder, sir. Since you mentioned the capacity to be very small,
Yeah.
we can excise the disease part and then go for a complete orthotopic new bladder formation.
Okay, fine. So Dr. Gite, you want to add anything? Dr. Gite?
Sir.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
sir, no.
So there is one question: what maneuver do we use during intra-op ureterostomy for such a tortuous ureter?
No, best thing is, as Dr. Gite said, make an incision and straighten up the whole ureter. The only problem is when you're doing this, there are chances that you may damage the vascularity of the ureter in such a, because it is appearing, but it is in one sheet, and the vessels and everything may be damaged while straightening it. But there is no other option. As such, the creatinine is so high, remaining 4.55. I think that is only. I think ureterostomy should be a good alternative.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if the Dr. Hiren is there, you can ask him also.
No, sir. He messaged me his internet connection is done.
Yeah, today I think everyone has got that problem. I also could not log in. Okay, I think we should stop then.
Geeta, sir, is
Absolutely.
it okay?
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank